to tell a friend. She's back.
Hola, Spanish learners! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, it is so good to have you. Soy Señorita Spanish, and I am mostly here to help you to develop the skills necessary to excel in your CSEC Spanish examinations. However, if you are just here to learn and practice your Spanish, you are definitely still invited to stay and watch, because I am sure there will be something here for you to learn as well. With that said, please don't forget to subscribe, like, click the notification bell, and of course, share this video with all your friends. Muchas gracias. Now, in this video, I'll be leading you through several model responses in preparation for the oral examination. Particularly, we'll be focusing on two categories, home and family, as well as daily routine. Let's go ahead and start with home and family. Grab a pencil and let's work through these questions together. ¿Qué opinas o qué piensas de tu familia? That is basically asking you, what do you think or what is your opinion of your family? Now, there are several ways to respond to an opinion question. We can say, in my opinion, which would be en mi opinión. We can say a mi ver, which is also stating to me, or in my point of view, or in my opinion. You can also say yo pienso que, I think that, or yo creo que, I believe that my family is, and then you get into the answer. So let's use one of these and get into our answer. En mi opinión, mi familia es muy preciosa. Yo amo mucho a mi familia. Nos relacionamos y nos comunicamos bien y nos apoyamos mucho. What this is saying is, in my opinion, my family is very precious. I love my family a lot. We relate to another and we communicate well with each other. We support each other very much. Nos relacionamos, we relate well to each other. Nos comunicamos bien, we communicate well with each other. And we support each other is therefore nos apoyamos, we support each other. These are all reflexive verbs, and so they operate in this fashion. Another response is, yo pienso que mi familia es muy divertida. Siempre hacemos actividades juntas y compartimos chistes. Somos muy locos y nos amamos. So, of course, you're stating your opinion of your family. I think that my family is very fun. We always do activities together and we share jokes. We are very crazy and we love each other. So we have a similar expression there, nos amamos. We put the verb amar in the nosotros form right here. And then we put nos before it, which translates to each other. Our next question. ¿Cuántos hermanos mayores o menores tienes? How many older siblings or younger siblings do you have? Mayores significa older, menores significa younger. And of course, our question word here is cuántos, how many. Pues, that's always a great way to start because it means well. Pues yo tengo dos hermanos mayores y una hermana menor. Well, I have two older brothers and a younger sister. And be reminded that you will put the words older or younger after the word sister or brother because it serves as an adjective, and adjectives go after the nouns. So we're not going to say yo tengo dos mayores hermanos. We have to say yo tengo dos hermanos mayores, hermana menor, and not menor hermana. Another response is, pues yo solo tengo un hermano mayor. Soy el Benjamín o soy la Benjamina. What does this mean? Well, I only have an older brother. So solo means only. In this case, with the accent on the first O, it means only. I am the youngest. And of course, we have the masculine version and the feminine version. So if you're saying I am the youngest and you're speaking as a male, it will be soy el Benjamín. Or I'm the youngest in terms of being a girl, soy la Benjamina. Another response is, no tengo ningún hermano, pero tengo dos hermanas menores. I don't have any brothers, but I have two younger sisters. I'm giving you variety in terms of what to respond with. Maybe several of you have sisters while some of you have brothers. You know, this question is one that varies. And so I'm trying to give you variety of responses that you can pick and choose from and modify. Finally, if you don't have siblings, you will just express that. No tengo hermanos. I don't have siblings. Or you can add this nice touch. I'm an only child. Soy hija única. Or soy hijo único. Let's go to our next question. ¿Cómo te llevas con tus hermanos? Describe la relación que tienes con tus hermanos. Now, if you look at several of the oral questions over the years, they are the same, but they might be modified or they might be asked in another way. So this question is basically asking the same thing. The first one, how do you get along with your siblings? And the second one says, describe the relationship that you have with your siblings. So, how do you get along with your siblings, or describe the relationship that you have with your siblings? We're going to work through a variety of responses for this one as well. Firstly, primero, me llevo bien con mis hermanos porque me ayudan, me apoyan y me dan amor y afecto. Let's unpack this. To say I get along well with will be me llevo bien con. And then for the reasons, we're using what we call indirect object pronouns. They love me, they help me, they support me. So the me, which is me, goes before the verb. And the verb, which is ayudan, apoyan, and dan, those verbs have to match who is doing the helping, who is doing the supporting, who is doing the loving, who is the speaker or the subject of the sentence. And in this case, the subject is the siblings. The siblings love me. They're the ones that are carrying out the action of the verb. So therefore, the verb has to be in the ellos, ellas, ustedes form to match hermanos. So my siblings help me, support me, and give me love and affection. Another response that we could provide is, mis hermanos y yo nos relacionamos bien porque me entienden y nos comunicamos bien. Let's take apart that one first. You've seen this phrase before in one of the previous questions. Nos relacionamos, we get along well, right? So our verb is relacionarse, and it is now conjugated in the nosotros form to say that we get along well. And then we have a similar construction here to the one prior, which is they understand me. Me entienden. This verb is entender, and it is a stem changing verb. Me entienden, and we've seen this one before as well. We communicate well with each other. Our second response here is, mis hermanos y yo tenemos una buena relación porque nos apoyamos. And we're just mixing and matching here. My siblings and I have a good relationship because we support each other. Once again, this is a reflexive verb, or it's acting in a way that it's an indirect object pronoun. So we support each other. We support ourselves. We support each other. Nos apoyamos. So we're putting the verb apoyar in the nosotros form, and then we're putting nos before it as the indirect object pronoun for we. Let's give some negative responses. Me llevo mal con mis hermanos porque discutimos mucho. Son muy pesados y traviesos. Now remember I had said to say I get along well would be me llevo bien. It's the same here, but now we're saying I get along badly with. To say I get along badly with would be me llevo mal con. I get along badly with my siblings because we argue a lot. The verb here is discutir, to argue or to quarrel. They are very annoying, pesados, annoying, and mischievous or rude, which is traviesos. Please remember to pluralize your adjectives here because you're talking about siblings, more than one person. Another response could be, mis hermanos y yo tenemos una mala relación porque me molestan mucho, no me dan mucho tiempo o atención y no me entienden. What we're basically doing here is just giving the negative or the opposite responses to the ones before. So my siblings and I have a bad relationship because they annoy me. Molestar is to annoy. So of course, once again, we're putting molestar in the ellos, ellas, ustedes conjugation form to match they, my siblings. They annoy me. Who is being annoyed? Or indirect object here, which is me. Me goes before the verb. And we have mucho, which means a lot. They don't give me a lot of time or attention, and they don't understand me. Bueno, perfecto. Let's move to another question. ¿Quién es tu persona favorita en tu familia y por qué? ¿Quién is our question word, which means who. You got it. Muy bien. Who is your favorite person in your family and why? Don't forget the why. I would like you all to develop your answers with the reasons already attached so that the examiner doesn't have to prompt and prod you more for the responses you are already supposed to have developed. So just put the answer with the reason from the get go. Let's see what I mean. Mi persona favorita en mi familia es mi madre, porque ella es simpática, trabajadora y paciente. So I stated who my favorite person is, which is my mom, and then I stated why. I didn't wait for the prompting, right? So let's go right into it and put it together. My favorite person in my family is my mother because she is nice, hardworking, and patient. The magic number that we're going for all of our reasons is 3 because one of the mark scheme questions or the way that you are graded is for wide and varied vocabulary. So if you give more than one reason, you'll be better off. Let's go to the next question, which is ¿Con quién hablas de tus problemas? ¿Por qué? Our question word here is con quién, which means with who. Or in this case, with whom? With whom do you speak about your problems and why? Normalmente hablo con mi hermana porque me escucha, me entiende y me da buenos consejos. Normally, I speak with my sister because she listens to me, understands me, and gives me good advice. So, once again, we are using the same structure as before. But now, our verbs, entiende, escucha, da, they are all in the el, ella, usted form because we're talking about hermana, she. All right? She listens to me, she understands me, she gives me good advice. ¿Cuándo visitas a tus abuelos? Our question word here is cuando. What does cuando mean? Cuando means when. Excelente. When do you visit your grandparents? Yo visito a mis abuelos. And then we can state any adverb of frequency, right? So let's look through a few here. Yo visito a mis abuelos los fines de semana, on the weekends. We don't need any en. If we're stating on the weekends, we don't need to say en los fines de semana. We'll just need to go to los fines de semana. I visit my grandparents every month, cada mes. I visit my grandparents every 2 weeks, cada 2 semanas. I visit my grandparents once in a while, de vez en cuando. And finally, here, I visit my grandparents raramente, rarely. There are many other adverbs of frequency that we can use. These are just a few that I pulled for this example. Our next question is, ¿Qué hacen tus padres? Hacen comes from the verb hacer, which means to do or to make. And in this case, it is to do. What do your parents do? Basically asking, ¿Cuál es la profesión de tus padres? Which is another way that you could be asked this question. ¿Cuál es la profesión de tus padres? And you're simply to state your parents' profession. You don't have to say, las profesiones de mis padres son, the professions of my parents are. Nobody speaks that way in English. So we can just go straight into saying, my mother is a police officer, my father is a carpenter, and so on and so forth. Now, I have prepared lots of responses here for you, so let's go right into them. Mi padre es bombero. Let's recap a bit. ¿Qué significa bombero? Bombero es firefighter. Muy bien. Mi padre es médico. My father is a doctor. Muy bien. Mi padre es mecánico. And this is self-explanatory. My father is a mechanic. Mi padre es profesor. My father is a teacher. Mi padre es director, which is principal. It can also mean manager. Mi padre es granjero, which is a farmer. Mi padre es hombre de negocios. My father is a businessman. Mi padre es gerente, which means manager. Mi padre es futbolista, which means footballer. And mi padre es policía, which means police officer. As you can see here, we have not used the articles un before the profession. We do not need those. So we don't say mi padre es un médico. It's not correct. So we just omit the article un or una in stating professions. Now, there are some professions usually that end in O, they are going to be for masculine persons, right? However, there are some that are what we call gender neutral. They will be for both the male and the female. Like if they end in an E, or if they end in ia or ista, they are used by both males or females. Let's look at the alternative. Now remember they asked about both their parents, so we have to state the profession of the father and then the profession of the mother. Mi madre es pilota, médica, veterinaria, profesora, directora, mujer de negocios, arquitecta, ama de casa. Of course, these are just some examples of what we could use. My mother is a pilot, a doctor, a veterinarian, a teacher, a principal, a businesswoman, an architect, or a housewife. Now, we saw both of these words before. In the masculine version, let's look back here, we had profesor and director. And for these, if it ends in a consonant, we make it feminine by adding an A, while if it ended in an O, as in the case of médico, we would change that O to A. Let's go to another question, shall we? ¿Qué tareas domésticas haces en casa? Explica. What domestic tasks do you do in your house or at home? And explain. Explaining is basically to state, which chores these are, how often do you do them, or just give a reason for your answer. En casa tengo diferentes responsabilidades. If you'd like to take on that introductory line, go right ahead. It's a great way to start. And then we can just go into stating what chores exactly we do. Yo hago la cama, I make my bed. Lavo los platos, I wash the dishes. Barro el suelo, I sweep the floor. Riego las plantas. I water the plants. Lavo la ropa. I wash the clothes. Cocino. I cook. Doy de comer a los animales. I feed the animals. And then limpio mi dormitorio. I clean my room. These are just a few examples. Now, here's a follow up question, and this requires you to think a bit more and provide an explanation. Hay tareas domésticas diferentes para los muchachos y las muchachas. Explica. Are there domestic tasks or different domestic tasks for boys and girls? Explain. So this is basically asking you, is there a double standard? Are there chores that boys should do versus chores that girls should do? What is your opinion on that? So we could pull for some of the opinion starters. En mi opinión, yo pienso que, a mi ver, yo creo que, and so on and so forth. And we give our reasoning. No. This is my personal opinion, and you can pull from it. No pienso que. No, I think that, right? No pienso que en esta sociedad todos deben ayudar con cosas como limpiar, sacar la basura y lavar los platos. A veces mis padres nos asignan tareas específicas, pero no importa si eres chico o chica. Lo importante es que todos hacemos nuestra parte. Now, this is very long. You can pull from it however you desire. It says, no, I think that in this society, everyone should help with things such as cleaning, taking out the garbage, and washing the dishes. Sometimes my parents assign us specific tasks, but it doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. Now, I want you to extract this phrase in red here. Lo importante es. The important thing is. Lo importante es. The important thing is that everyone does our part, or that we all do our part. Our next question is about la Navidad. ¿Cómo celebra tu familia la Navidad? And our question word here is ¿cómo? What is ¿cómo? ¿Cómo means how. Muy bien. How does your family celebrate Christmas? And we have a variety of activities that we can pull from. It's very important for us to use different vocabulary that are particular to Christmas than saying, for example, we watch TV. We can state we watch Christmas movies. Make it personal or specific to Christmas. Let's look at some options. Normalmente mi familia y yo decoramos el árbol navideño juntos. Árbol is missing an accent right here. Decoramos el árbol navideño juntos signifies my family and I decorate the Christmas tree together. Juntos, together. Another activity is normalmente mi familia y yo horneamos el pastel de tortas. We bake Christmas cake. Mi familia y yo compramos e intercambiamos regalos. We buy and exchange gifts. Just to be reminded that if you're going to say and before a word that begins with I, the E, the letter Y that we usually put here, changes to E, the letter E, E, just so that the sounds can sound distinct. Normalmente mi familia y yo vamos a la iglesia. We go to church. Normalmente mi familia y yo cantamos villancicos. We sing Christmas carols. So, in responding to this question, please ensure that you give at least 3 of these activities. Remember, 3 is your magic number. Let's move on to the next question. ¿Ustedes tienen animales en casa? ¿Cuáles? O ¿cuáles te gustaría tener? This is a 2-part question. Do you all, as in your family and yourself, do you all have animals at home? What are they? Or In a case where you would respond and say you do not have any animals, a follow up question could be, what animals would you like to have? Sí, yo tengo un perro, se llama Rex. Yes, I have a dog named or called Rex. This is a yes or no question, by the way, so ensure that you begin with sí or no before stating the animal that you do have. Sí, yo tengo un perro y un gato. Yes, I have a dog and a cat. Or our negative response could be no, no tengo mascotas, pero me gustaría tener un gato en el futuro. No, I don't have pets, but I would like to have a cat in the future. This brings us to the final question in this category for today. ¿Puedes hablarme un poco del pariente más viejo de tu familia? Puedes hablarme is a question word, a question statement asking, can you talk to me? So, can you talk to me a little bit about the oldest relative in your family? Viejo means old, and then más viejo means older, or in this case, oldest. The oldest family member. La persona más vieja en mi familia es mi bisabuelo. Tiene 97 años. Es muy bondadoso, amable e interesante. The oldest person in my family is my great grandfather. He's 97 years old. He's very kind, friendly, and interesting. So, in responding to this question, I stated who the oldest person is, his age, his relationship to me, and then three adjectives to describe him. And you can do the same with your response. This brings us to the end of home and family. Let's go right into in this category. ¿Qué haces por la mañana antes de ir a la escuela? What do you do in the morning before going to school? Now, this question, ¿qué haces, is very popular in this section. What do you do? And this is basically asking you for your morning activities. The response I gave was, usualmente yo desayuno, me cepillo los dientes, me ducho, me visto antes de salir para la escuela. In this response, these are most popularly used when explaining your routine because they're actions that are done by yourself to your own bodies. So usually I have breakfast. Of course, this one is not a reflexive verb, but for the others, we need our reflexive pronoun, the me. Me cepillo los dientes, I brush my teeth. Me ducho, I take a shower. Me visto, I get dressed before leaving for school. Our next question. ¿Qué tomas en el desayuno? Or ¿qué tomas en la cena normalmente? Another way that this question could have been asked is ¿qué desayunas? What do you have for breakfast? ¿Qué cenas? What do you have for dinner? So both questions are asking the same question in a different way. Now let us look at a number of breakfast options. Normalmente yo desayuno huevos y salchichas con frutas y café. So this one word desayuno means I have for breakfast, okay? So we don't need to say anything additionally. Normally I have eggs, huevos, y salchichas, and sausages with fruits and coffee for breakfast. Some other breakfast options include, specifying the types of eggs. Instead of yo desayuno, we could say yo como, I eat. And then para el desayuno, for breakfast. So, yo como huevos revueltos para el desayuno. I eat scrambled eggs for breakfast. Or yo como huevos fritos para el desayuno. I eat fried eggs for breakfast. Yo como panqueques. I eat pancakes para el desayuno for breakfast. Or yo desayuno panqueques. Now we could also specify, what else we eat alongside the pancakes. Yo como panqueques con frutas, with fruits, con sirope, with syrup, and con mermelada, with jam. Yo como cereales. I eat cereal para el desayuno, for breakfast. Or yo desayuno cereales. And of course, cereal is con leche, with milk. Or yo como pan tostado. I eat toast bread. Con mantequilla, with butter. Con queso, with cheese. And of course, we would say para el desayuno, for breakfast at the end. Now, for a morning beverage, we have tea, coffee, orange juice, or other types of drink. So we could say yo bebo té, or yo desayuno, whatever our breakfast option is, con té, with tea. So yo bebo, I drink té con azúcar, sugar, con limón, with lemon. Yo bebo café solo or café con leche. No, café solo is black coffee, and usually this coffee has no sugar in it either, so you'd have to specify con azúcar, with sugar, y con leche, with milk. Yo bebo jugo de naranja. I drink orange juice. Now, the second part of the question was about dinner. What do you have for dinner? Normalmente yo ceno pollo con arroz, which is normally I have chicken and rice for dinner. The verb cenar means to have dinner, okay? So once again, similarly to the first question, we don't need to say for dinner. But if we were going to say it in that way, we would say yo tomo, which is I have, I eat. I eat chicken and rice for dinner, para la cena. Here's another food question. But before we get into the question, let's look at these three verbs here. Desayunar, to have breakfast, almorzar, to have lunch, and cenar, to have dinner. So to recap, we don't need to state, oh, I have patties for breakfast. We would just use the verb desayuno empanadas, and that would automatically mean I have patties for breakfast. We're going to zone in on almorzar, because that is the verb for this question. The question says, normalmente, ¿qué almuerzas los días de la escuela? What do you have for lunch on school days? And almorzar, which means to have lunch, is what we call a stem change in verb. So that O in the word would change to UE. So yo almuerzo is I have for lunch. Let's respond to the question. Normalmente yo almuerzo una hamburguesa, pizza, papas fritas o un bocadillo de jamón, de queso, de pollo. Let's unpack. Normally I have a hamburger for lunch, would be normalmente yo almuerzo una hamburguesa, or pizza, or fries, papas fritas. Now, un bocadillo means a sandwich, and we can specify the type of sandwich by adding de and then or type. So, un bocadillo de jamón, a ham sandwich. Un bocadillo de queso, a cheese sandwich. Un bocadillo de pollo, a chicken sandwich. So, tell me, how would you say, normally, I have pizza and fries for lunch? That would be normalmente yo almuerzo pizza y papas fritas. Bueno, muy bien. Let's continue. Vamos a continuar. Now, daily routine has to do with anything that you do in your daily lives, right? It comes down to what you eat, what you do, and now what kind of music do you listen to? ¿Qué tipo de música escuchas y por qué? What type of music do you listen to and why? We have three responses here because there are different types of music and different reasons why we would be drawn to that type of music. So the first one says, escucho la música pop porque es divertida y me da energía. I listen to pop music because it is fun and it gives me energy. El segundo, me gusta la música rock porque tiene buen ritmo y me hace sentir bien. I like rock music because it has a good rhythm and it makes me feel good. And the final one, el tercero, prefiero la música clásica porque es relajante y me ayuda a concentrarme. I prefer classical music because it is relaxing and it helps me to concentrate. Now, as you can see, I started each of these sentences with a different phrase because the language is fluid. We don't have to stick to a particular way. There are many options. So the first one is saying I listen to, escucho. The second one is I like, me gusta. And the third one is prefiero, I prefer. And we can use them interchangeably. The next question is, describe cómo es un fin de semana con tu familia. What do you think this question is asking you? A key part of the oral exam is understanding the question. And if we do not understand the question, we can be thrown off. So, we have to understand the question word and we also have to identify the vocabulary in the question. So this particular question is describe what a weekend with your family is like. So como by itself usually means how, but como followed by a form of ser, como is now asking what is it like. So what is a weekend with your family like? You're being asked to describe and to give detail on how this weekend is. What is your weekend like? Let's get into it. Normalmente, mi familia y yo vamos a la playa o al parque los sábados por las mañanas. Por las tardes vamos al supermercado o a un restaurante. Los domingos vamos a la iglesia. For a question like this, it's always great to break down the question into the days. So on Saturdays, this is what is done. On Sundays, this is what is done. And this gives you more to say, especially since the question had said describe. They want a detailed response. So normally, my family and I go to the beach or to the park on Saturday mornings. In the afternoons, we go to the supermarket or to a restaurant. On Sundays, we go to church. So there are 4 or 5 main places that I stated, and be reminded of them. La playa, the beach, parque, the park, el supermercado, the supermarket, restaurante, restaurant, and iglesia means church. Our next question is, háblame. Háblame de lo que hiciste ayer por la noche. Háblame de lo que hiciste ayer por la noche. Háblame means talk to me. Talk to me about. In this case, it means talk to me about what you did yesterday night. So this is a preterite question. This is a question that is asking you about the past tense. What is it that you did? So it's not what you normally do, but what you did. So you have to revise the preterite tense in order to give your responses. Now let's start with some AR verbs. AR verbs in the yo form will end with e. So we have the verb estudiar, mirar, and hablar, 3 AR verbs. All 3 of them in the yo form, the ending will be e. So anoche, which is last night, anoche yo estudié por un rato. Last night I studied for a while. Yo miré la televisión, I watched TV. Yo hablé por teléfono con mis amigos. I spoke on the phone with my friends. So whichever regular AR verb in the present tense, in the yo form, the ending will be a. Similarly, we have some ER and IR verbs which share the ending E, as in I with an accent. So we have the verb comer, the verb leer, and the verb salir. ER verb, and then an IR verb. And luckily for us, they share the same ending. In the form, that ending is E. So yo comí, luego yo leí un libro, después yo salí al cine con mis amigos. Once again, once you're recalling a certain day or a certain time period, it's good to, specify the order of events. So we can use words like luego, which is then, and words like después, which is after. So last night I ate, and then I read a book. After I went out to the movies with my friends. Let's go to the next question. And once again, it begins with que haces. Do you remember what que haces means? ¿Qué haces cuando no estás estudiando? Explica. What do you do when you are not studying? Explain. Generalmente miro la televisión, duermo, leo, juego videojuegos o paso tiempo con mi familia o mis amigos. So generally, it's asking what you do normally on a normal daily basis. So we need the present tense once again. Generally, I watch TV, I sleep, I read, I play video games, or I spend time with my family or my friends. ¿De qué manera tus responsabilidades en casa afectan tus estudios? In what way does your responsibilities at home affect your studies? Pues a veces, cuando tengo muchos quehaceres en casa, es difícil concentrarme en mis estudios. Well, sometimes when I have a lot of chores at home, it's difficult to concentrate on my studies. Another word for responsabilidades or tareas domésticas is quehaceres. All three of them mean chores, right? So we have to be familiarized with this word as well. On the other hand, we could also respond and state, well, I don't have a lot of chores. It doesn't affect me at all. Let's say that. Pues no tengo muchos quehaceres en casa. Entonces no afectan mis estudios. So based on your own situation, you can choose which response is better for you. Our next question is, ¿cómo te sientes cuando tienes que despertarte temprano? And if you remember, the question word como means how. How do you feel when you have to wake up early? So we have sentarse, which is to feel, and then we have tener followed by que. Tener followed by que means have to. So how do you feel when you have to wake up early? Usualmente estoy muy cansado. If you're a boy, of course, cansada. If you're a girl, y me siento muy triste cuando tengo que despertarme temprano. And I'm sure we can all agree with this response. Usually, I am very tired and I feel very sad when I have to wake up early. Of course, this is an emotion question, and so it's good to use these two verbs: estar, which is used to state how you are feeling, and then sentirme, that same verb, which is to feel. Me siento, I feel. Estoy, I am. Our final question is a commonly asked question for this topic. Be very prepared to respond to it. Háblame de un día típico en tu vida. Talk to me about a typical day in your life. And usually, to respond to this question, you'll do a play by play. The time you get up, what you do in the morning, what you do at school, what you do after school, down to the time that you go to bed. So it's always good to state the different time instances and to just give an overview of your day. Be prepared for this question. Normalmente me despierto a las 5 para ir a la escuela. Me ducho, me cepillo los dientes, me visto, me peino y desayuno. A las 7 yo voy a la escuela. Tengo 5 clases cada día. So this is just the first part of the question, and it's already so long, right? It involves your morning activities down to when you go to school. So normally I wake up at 5 to go to school. I shower, I brush my teeth, I get dressed, I comb my hair, and I have breakfast. And these are in bold to remind you that they are reflexive actions. At 7, I go to school. I have 5 classes each day. Let's continue with this response. Después de la escuela, yo tengo mis actividades extracurriculares. Yo juego al tenis y soy miembro del club de arte. A las 6 regreso a casa y hago mis deberes. Luego ceno y paso tiempo con mi familia. Finalmente me acuesto a eso de las 10. So this is the second part of our day. And it's always good to use transitional words. So usually firstly, secondly, then, after. And in this case, I said after school, which is después de la escuela. After school, I have my extracurricular activities. I play tennis and I am a member of art club. At 6, I return home and I do my homework. Then I have dinner and I spend time with my family. Finally, I go to bed at eso de, which is at around. I go to bed at around 10. And that's the end of this question and the end of this video. Gracias por mirar. Please stay tuned for more videos. I'll be doing sports and recreation as well as travel in the next video. Take good care. Keep studying. Gracias y adios.